Welcome to the Jedi Ranger. I'm JohnBerry555, and today I'm continuing my series of Mash Retro reviews with Season 4, Episode 22, Smilin Jack. So this episode, the main plot is about a chopper pilot who has diabetes but wants to bring the most number of wounded in within the year. Granted, we have no idea when this episode is set because this episode gives contradicting information. By the way, you do not watch MASH for historical timeline accuracy. The fact that they get it mostly purely accurate is quite impressive for a TV show made in the 70s. But ignoring that, essentially what this episode is really about is basically a fairly charismatic chopper pilot who has taken home basically the second, at this point in the timeline, the second most amount of wound. They're taking them from the front to MASH units. There's one other who's got like one or two on him, and he wants to ensure the victory. So he defies orders to be grounded because they did him thorough medical checkup and found out that he has diabetes and he can't fly with that. He defies orders and decides to bring bring to MASH 477 4 patients. And the chopper that they use can only handle 3 people, two wounded, and the chopper pilot. So yeah. Now, I will say, I think we have seen an episode before where they put forward. The Mash Wiki does make a note that that flight would have been basically impossible. It would have been just not possible. But I gotta say, the episode also implies that it should not have been possible. So, maybe some plot intervention, if you will. And it turns out that the other pilot brings in another wounded and takes back the #1 spot. Almost kind of like showing that the war will always continue. And actually, the ending scene reaffirms that. Colonel Potter is regaling the doctors and nurses during an oral session of some of his tales from World War I, including about a fighter pilot who dropped hand grenades on the German trenches, which, by the way, is something that pilots actually did during World War I. And then Hawkeye asks Colonel Potter which war of the 3 that he was in, World War I, World War II, and Korea, which one was the worst. And then the PA makes an announcement about a British regiment, one of the battalions losing 500 out of its 600-man complement in battle. I forget the exact number, but it was the Gloucester Regiment. And that actually happened. They actually lost over 600 people during a delaying action much earlier in the war than when this episode is supposedly set by itself for another thing that tries to set the timeline. And then Colonel Potter responds, each and every one, Hawkeye, each and every one. And I think what that shows with basically almost with Smilin Jack's, not his character arc, but his plot arc, shows that, yeah, war never changes. And it's all the same. There's never a good war. Now, sometimes the war may be fought for a more just cause, but it still doesn't make war itself any good. And they're certainly not commenting on the morality at all of the causes, just war itself. And that's true. War itself is always a bad thing. If you can avoid war, do so. It's better for nearly everyone involved except for the defense contractor. But there's also another smaller plot with this episode. And one of the wounded that Smilin Jack brings in is a fairly young soldier this is his second time being wounded and second time being sent into the front. So obviously he has, I would say, some anxiety, some fear. BJ begins the process of talking with him, but Smilin Jack put his stunt and has Radar stay with the patient. And honestly, Radar's conversation, I think, did more to help this wounded soldier because, like, both of them are corporals, but both of them have the same fears, uncertainties. And I think that is what helped resolve that character's arc. It's a small arc, but it's a nice arc, and also shows that sometimes, yeah, maybe the doctors are good in the job, but sometimes you just need someone who's in the same place as you and who can properly empathize with you, and I can make you feel all by knowing that you're not alone in your feelings. That alone can do a lot. And that's something that BJ would not have been able to offer this soldier, but something that Radar was able to. It's just a neat little thing that even though Radar himself had never been to the front, he is in a position and is portrayed to be in the same kind of age group, so it works better for how they want to portray the story. I think I phrased that the way I wanted to. Obviously, sometimes it's kind of hard to phrase everything about everything because there's so many different ways you can discuss things, and that's what these reviews are about, discussing these episodes of MASH. And let's continue that discussion. I have a comment section down below. Feel free to share whatever you would like about the episode. Let's keep this discussion going. And I'll see you next week for episode 23, and we're getting near the end of season 4. Thank you for watching my video. I do hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please be sure to give this video a like and share. Also, consider subscribing to my channel to stay up to date on all my latest content. In the meantime, thank you for watching, and as always, have a good day, a good night, wherever you are. May the force be with you, always.